All right, we are on air. Happy Thursday, March 30th. It's the end of the month. We're going to do a quick run through of development tasks, things we're working on for Backdrop CMS. We like to start this meeting with an update from the PMC. I don't think we have anything urgent that needs to be updated at this time. Unless anyone here has anything they want to say. Okay, so quickly moving on to backdropcms.org. Recently, we launched a whole bunch of new layouts for the site. We're currently working on resolving a bunch of subtasks related to that. Anyone who wants to contribute definitely can. The meta issue is 301. There's a bunch of independent, smaller things that could all use work, and they can happen pretty much in any order. We're also working on a forum site at forum.backdropcms.org. It is mostly ready. There's one bug in the bakery module, but we could use people actually using it so we can figure out if there's anything else that needs to be addressed before we do a hard launch as opposed to the soft launch that it's sort of doing right now. We're also working on a translation server at localize.backdropcms.org. I haven't checked in on the progress of this lately. I saw, Jeff, you just sent me a note.
Olaf and I made some minor progress this week, mostly back-end stuff. He's blocked because of the bakery locked his account, I think. So if you could take a quick look at that, maybe this afternoon or something.
Okay. Is there any, there's nothing, is bakery on Localize? It is.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I couldn't remember if that was set up or not. Okay, yeah, we can look at that. There's some other issues with bakery as well that we should resolve for forum. So I can do that, some work on that today. If you guys can help, that would be fantastic. Okay, and then if there's nothing else on homepage form or translation, maybe we should roll over and start talking about Backdrop itself. Okay.
Sure.
Neat.
Okay. This could be pretty quick. So in the world of Backdrop the product, we've been pushing along as usual on various issues, but on the issues that we have called out for focus on the 1.7 release, there hasn't been any progress in the last week. For the 1.6.4 release, the next bug fix release that we will be publishing, there's no currently major outstanding issues. So items that are tracked for 1.6.4 or other minor bug fix or UX improvements, as always, as needed, we are reviewing and pulling those in as they are ready. 1.7 comes out May 15th. And as before with the previous release, that means our feature freeze is the first of the month, May 1st, which makes it so that we have 1 month essentially before feature freeze for the 1.7 release. This is a bit of a concern, I would say, for probably myself and many community members, because our actual difference from 1.6 to 1.7 is pretty minimal at this point. We have implemented a few tiny features and UX things that are slated for 1.7, but those things have not, I mean, there's no real banner features yet for 1.7. We have some ideas, of course, of things that we would definitely like to see implemented in these 4 items that we have pulled out here. Looks like 5 items now. The redesign of the status report is issue 485, and that's got a pull request and has had some activity recently. Thank you, Gregory, for kind of spearheading that implementation. That needs some design feedback. 2 issues related to improving the layouts system, 1704 and 2134. Issues that need review. One adds the ability to place things like the page title and tabs as blocks instead of just letting them fall in their default locations. That one really needs review, but implementation-wise is really solid. And then layout relationships, such as 2134. Andy, who was in, or Doc Wilmot, as he's known more broadly, was in this meeting a minute ago, but it has dropped out. But he's started and pretty well completed those implementations right before the release of 1.6, and it would just be a real shame if we were unable to review and pull those in for 1.7. So I think that those are very likely to be implemented, but they need help. Let's see, this new item in here, it looks like, Jen, you may have added this one, panels, content panes. Oh God, this is a lot of terminology. Panels, content pane, views, displays board.
Right here. So basically, in Drupal, if you wanted to do something like use context in a views display, you could pull it from the context on a panel if you're using panels. And there was a module that I think was part of CTools called Views Content Panes. Content panes in Drupal 7 are equivalent to blocks in Backdrop, but Views is missing all of the features that content panes in Drupal 7 had because we ported the blocks for views instead of the content panes for views. And so this just takes all of the features that used to apply to content panes and views and adds them to blocks in Backdrop so that we're not, so that we can have the same power that we had when we were using panels in Drupal 7. Nate, I think you actually wrote this patch before the last release. Things need a little more testing, but there was a bunch of people commenting on it recently about how much they wanted, and I was like, I want it too. And I think if we all use it, we can get it their view it needs, and I'm not sure it's very far off. So it got tagged for 1.7, and I think that's realistic. So
yeah, and this one blocks another issue where we need to put to have exposed filters, exposed options on certain blocks, I think, or actually the settings of the blocks. So it might be a feature that if it gets in is not that obvious as in the uses of it, but it will clean up. Yeah, it will help others.
Got it. Yep. Now, yeah, I'm clear on this, and actually, it's ironic. You're absolutely right that I did the porting of that quite a while ago. Yeah, that would be really cool. That makes it so that it's within the views interface, block displays gets new abilities to override on a per block placement basis the options within the view, which is really pretty cool. But yeah, it's a super kind of advanced concept, but very cool. Of course, as it is with all like super powerful stuff, it's also you know, complicated.
One other thing that can be added on this list, again, a small thing that's left out, is the retheming of the views UI. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just, I think I have a pull request. I need to take a look at that again. Just, I think like 95% of it was made to look like the rest of the UI, and it looked a lot better than what it is now. So maybe that can get a sort of like as a baby step there, and then we can click further.
Great. Okay. Yeah, all of those user experience things definitely be fantastic. Okay, the one more item that is in this list of items that we'd like to be in 1.7, and Jen has been saying it's this past week to me that reference module, yeah, looks likely that it probably will get kicked off of the, like, we want this in the next release timeline, because we've been trying to get it in the last 2 releases, and at this point, it's looking a little shaky to be in 1.7 as well.
Yeah, there's no stable release for Contrib, so we're not encouraging anyone in Contrib to use it, which was what we wanted. We wanted it to be kind of proven in Contrib before we put it in core. but because nobody can install it, people are still installing references, which does have a stable release.
So it sounds like in the intermediate, we at least have some steps that we need to do to make this, an official release and get users using it in Contrib.
Yeah.
But yeah, with only a month, yeah, it's looking really skeptical that it would be ready for a 1.7 release.
Gregory, can you put a link to the views design?
It's 930.
I see it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, let's see. I lost my window for the status report. Oh, okay. Here we go. There are other items that are slated for 1.7 as well. You can find the full list within GitHub. Not a whole lot of excitement as far as progress is concerned, but we're moving into April, and I think with our just timeline of code freeze coming up, if the past is any indicator of the way that our progress will be reflected, is that this is going to be a really busy month for Backdrop. I wish that, I hope that as time goes on, we get better at doing consistent development all the time. And a lot of this is things that I'm personally responsible for. And I think, we all kind of do this in a way, but I do it more than most others.
I think that you're not giving credit to all of the work that we've been doing. The last few months, there's been a flurry of activity for Backdrop. It just hasn't been on Backdrop core. We've had a ton of progress on backdropcms.org, the forum site, the localized site, and Contrib is on fire. So I would say don't,
in a good way.
Don't make it sound like we're not doing any work, because there's a whole bunch of people who are doing a lot of work, and you don't want them to feel like we haven't noticed that. It's just that, before now, there had been a huge focus on core because we'd all been so enthusiastic about what we could possibly do with Backdrop. And now that we're doing it with Backdrop, the focus is a little different, where it's oh, that's not urgent. Backdrop's great. Let me go do something else.
Yeah,
so
you're absolutely right.
Thanks to everybody who's been putting all of the time and effort in other areas too.
Yes. I definitely do not mean to belittle all of the other effort that's gone on around the peripherals of the software product itself. But I expect, nonetheless, April will be a good month, because history has indicated that everybody gets excited right before release, and then they start all doing a bunch of work on the next release. So I'm still looking forward to April, and I'm excited to see what things and progress we can start making or really push forward on. So that's all I wanted to say.
So in April, we're going to have people working on Contrib and core and everything else. It's going to be the best month ever.
Okay, that's all I have for the Backdrop product update. And that moves us into the general discussion / open Q&A. If you guys have any questions or anything you guys would like to bring up. Looks like Tom Grandy has asked, has anyone attempted to port draggable views? I am not aware of any effort on that. Ben?
I'm not either. And Tom, our usual process for that is you can create an issue in the Drupal.org issue queue. So I would search there. There's a specific tag like backdrop-port. So if somebody had started working on it, they would have put an issue in that queue that's dear maintainers, I really like your module. I want to use it on Backdrop. And then that's either followed up with I'm about to port it. Would you like to be involved? Or do you have any plans to port it? And so that's a good place to look to see if somebody's started it or not. If it's not somebody who's going to be doing that port themselves, there's also an issue in backdrop-ops/contrib, which is where people will put hey, I'm interested in porting this module, or is anyone else working on this module? The tag in the Drupal issue queue is backdrop-port, I think. There is an official tag. There's also a tag in the GitHub queue, which I think is I don't know.
Port
Was that the
status
one you
for-
posted?
just-
Port space status?
Yes, that's port status.
Okay. Thank you. And that one is for anyone who is planning on porting a module or wants a module ported. Like, I'm not gonna do this myself, but I would love it if someone ported this, just so you can kind of have a conversation around a particular module to gauge interest. So I would say check the Drupal queue and see if anyone's already mentioned they're doing it. Check the GitHub queue, see if anyone's mentioned that they're interested in doing it. And if not, I would put an issue in the GitHub queue saying you're interested in having that happen. And that way, if other people come along, they'll be able to say, great, like, I'm going to work on it. And when, you know, help me test it when it's ready. And you can get involved in that too.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? I did mention it. I noticed at the very beginning of this meeting that Jeff asked about our code of conduct. And just so you guys know, we are working on drafting one. It's not in a it's in a public repository right now, but it doesn't have an issue queue. But we want to be able to have feedback on it. And so I'm going to move it into a different repository today. And then we'll post links to it wherever. But right now there isn't anywhere for anyone to collaborate, and we want to make it a little bit more open than that. So coming soon. All right.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Have any of you are any of you familiar with the paragraphs module?
Yes,
So have you tried it?
I have. I'm using it right now on a couple of Drupal sites.
Okay, very good. I just put an issue up on in the GitHub queue for easy import and evaluation of that. That I hope is relevant for the discussion about the forums.
Okay.
When if we want to use comment mover and stuff like that, then if we have this powered by paragraphs, that is very easy to move along things like to tag, use taxonomy and things, and voting on single paragraphs. When I post technical things, I post it under another account, but it's almost the same avatar, so I hope it's not too confusing.
Okay.
The Fuspolero avatar I'm using to split out everything that is strategy and non-technical.
Okay. This looks great. I'm going to read this over and I'll reply in the issue. If anyone else wants to take a look, it is issue number 22 in the forum queue. Is there anyone else who has anything we should talk about this week? If not, I'm going to turn off the live broadcast. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining this week, and thank you for watching. And if you have anything to say you don't want to live broadcast, you can just hang around.